Hey guys, today I'm going to be taking a look at this new drone by SYMA, one of the newest drones from SYMA that's out, and this is called the X25W, as you can see on the box. And what the main feature of this drone is that it offers optical flow positioning, so it can hold its position by using a small camera on the bottom, to analyze the surface and hold its position. So it's not as accurate as GPS, but if it works correctly, it's pretty decent position hold. Though that may be one of the few complaints I have about this particular drone, is that the position hold can be a little bit flaky on it. We'll discuss it a little bit more as we get to the flight review. And it also has Wi-Fi FPV, which is obviously pretty common in these drones now. And let's go ahead and take a look at the drone itself. Now the optical flow camera is this little pinhole camera that's on the arm here, or the base of the arm. It's very small, but like I said, that's what looks at the ground to give you an idea, the drone an idea of where to hold its position. And it works, when it gets a lock, it works okay. Like whenever it can detect, changes in the surface. But when it gets confused, that's when it kind of like flies around a little bit erratic and position hold. But otherwise the drone flies really nice. It can be a little erratic on its position hold. It kind of just wants to float off on you. Let's take a look at the rest of it here. And it has a little 720p camera mounted in the front of this module, the Wi-Fi module, and it actually does rotate. Let's see if I can show you here. It goes 90 degrees down all the way up, and I do like that because you can actually aim and frame your shot, or fly up overhead and aim straight down, and that's all controlled remotely from the controller. So that is a cool feature that they added that there. And it also records to a micro SD card here in the rear, and that means you don't have to worry about recording that Wi-Fi FPV feed, which are always laggy and it can be pretty lousy actually. So you're getting it saved locally to the card. So that makes the Wi-Fi FPV, in my opinion, the app less important. You're basically just going to use it to see where you're flying, and because many of these they also record to the app, and then that's what the only way you can get your video. So I like that it has the SD card. It's got little LED lights here on the end of each arm. I believe it's red in the front and green in the back, which is pretty standard for SYMA. It's also got white that lights up around here, around the SYMA logo on top. And there's your power button, so LEDs on are pretty standard for SYMA. And the lights, they periodically flash on me, even when I'm not recording. And the only thing I can guess so far is it seems like they do go solid. And I think it may be telling me whether it's got a good optical flow on its positioning or not. But I'm just guessing there, because I've not been able to figure it out. Because it does also, I think, blink whenever I think the top blinks too whenever it's recording video. So if the lights on top are solid white, and it's still flashing on the side, it seems like that's when it's telling me it doesn't have a good optical position. That's at least what I think, but don't hold me to that. I've not been able to find any information out on that yet. You do have to assemble the propellers, put those on the legs, typical with the SYMA stuff now. It kind of has the quick lock and unlock and attach the props. So make sure you get them on good so they don't fly off on you. Let's go ahead and take a look at the accessories. You've got a charging cradle here for the battery. The battery, of course, is proprietary, which is one thing I really don't like. SYMA's been doing that so much lately with their batteries, because it's just a standard pack stuck inside this little cradle, or a little pack, it's plastic shell, and it makes it proprietary. But it is a 7.4 volts, so it's 2S, which is nice for a drone this size. And it's 1000 milliamp hour. It just locks into the cradle, and you can see it lights up red because it's powering it here. It's just a USB charger, and it's got a green light here that goes off whenever it's finished. This will take you about 2.5 hours to charge up, so it does take a while, but you can buy an extra battery. It is nice, at least the cradle does give you an extra bay here, so you can charge up 2 batteries. But like I said, that's going to take you about 2.5 hours to charge up. But probably the biggest advantage of this drone is its long flight time. With this battery, I'll get close to 15 minutes flight time. That's for the new thing I've been seeing with so many drones now. In the toy classes, they're putting these big lipos in it, and along with GPS and with optical position hold. And that really makes this a nice drone because of the long flight time, even if the position hold's not the greatest. The fact you can keep this up in the air for nearly 15 minutes, that's really nice. I think that's the strongest selling point of this drone, is the long flight time. but it also flies, you know, fairly good. I really have no problems with the flight time. So you see the battery just goes in here. Make sure I get it the right way here if I'm paying attention. I keep putting it the wrong way. Just snaps in, and then of course you just turn it on here on top, and you can see there's that white light flashing, and there's those LEDs. So nice long flight time out of this drone, which is really pretty impressive. Let's go ahead and look at the some of the other accessories. You get a full set of propellers, which is nice, and you get a full set of prop guards as well, which, you know, I'm not a huge fan of prop guards if you've watched my channel, but you might want to put them on if you're a beginner, just to protect the propellers. Comes with this, you know, the standard, I call it now, a SYMA controller. They all look like this. It's actually a really comfortable and well-made controller. You do have to attach your FPV camera clip here for your phone to attach that to the top. There are no trims on it. The trims is done by pressing in and then doing some funky stuff. As long as you start on a level surface, you shouldn't need to trim it. But if you want to calibrate the gyro as you go down to the right, which is what SYMA always uses, you might want to do that the first time before you fly it, just to get the gyros calibrated to level. Okay, so the in the front here of the controller, this is your auto takeoff and auto landing, and it will start the props and take off, and you can also press it again to bring it down and auto land. In the rear here is your 3D flips. You have to hold that down in the direction you want to go. You can't just tap it and then do it. Your rates is pressing in on the right stick here. There's just two rates. The yaw does increase the rates, as of course does the pitch. It's never really very sporty, but I would recommend flying the highest rate. It never really needs, you know, it's never really too quick to be, you know, for a beginner. A beginner can still fly in the highest rate. Here in the upper left, this is for moving your camera tilt up and down. Which of course I think is a really cool feature. And this is your photo and your video buttons here on the side. You know, to start the recording to the micro SD card. You can probably do it from the app. I've not done that, but I don't know if it'll initiate the recording to the SD card or if it'll just record it locally to your phone. So I would use the buttons on the controller to do that. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the app. Of course, you got to put your phone into the clip here, you know, to fly the FPV. The app is the SYMA Fly app, which I'll put up here on the screen. You do have to select your model, which is the X25 Pro, and then go ahead and into it. Of course, it's going to tell me I'm not connected to the Wi-Fi. And once you get into it, you can turn off the, you know, the controls here, so it's on the screen. Because you could fly this by app, which I wouldn't recommend doing. And there's your to start your video recording, your pictures. Real basic, but it'll give you an idea to let you frame your shots since you have the remote control of the camera. So pretty basic app. I'm just going to be using the FPV app to, you know, see if I'm tilting my camera, because we're recording from the controller to the SD card. So, you know, overall not a bad drone. Of course, it also does have altitude hold, as you see here, and the optical full position hold, which it works okay, but it flies really well and it has a long flight time. To me, that's a strong selling point. So, you know, a pretty decent drone overall. So I think that covers all the basics on the drone. So let's go ahead and take it out now for the flight review. Alright guys, so I have the SYMA X25W here in my backyard. I'm going to take it out now for a test flight. Got it bound up with the controller and with the app. So let's go ahead and put it on the ground here. I'll go ahead, it's going to be difficult to see. I'm going to go ahead and do a gyro calibration down to the right. Maybe you've seen that there. Do it one more time, lights flash. Alright, we're going to go ahead and see the camera tilt. There's all the way up, and this is all the way back, as a, you know, you can tilt it. We're going to start out with the camera facing all the way out, but just make sure you get the controls down. When you all the way to the front here is raising it up, and the rear raises it down. So that's how you do that. You may want to think the front is what lowers it down. So let's go ahead and we're going to start recording some video on the inner bottom bumper here. This is the one that starts video recording. Now I can see it's intermittently flashing. So recording to the SD card. So let's go ahead now and do an automatic takeoff. And it does nice automatic takeoff stuff, as you can see. We're in the lowest rate. There's the yaw. Let's go to the highest rate. Yaw increases. I'm going to keep it in the highest rate, because I mean, even in the highest rate, it's not super sporty. So it's easy enough to fly. Like I said, even the beginner should be able to handle the highest rate. But a pretty gentle flyer, and it flies really nice. Now, let's see if we can bring it over here and let the optical flow, see how it works. Just let up on the sticks. Now there's some wind today, from right to left, I believe. And that's what really messes with the optical flow also. It seems to get a little squirrely and wobbly, like it can't adjust to the wind very well. But right now you can see it's holding pretty good at times, and it kind of floats around a little bit. And the wind, like I said, messes it up. So I'm just gonna let it sit here and see how it does. And not too bad. I mean, this is an optical flow, toy grade stuff. You can't expect it to hold like GPS. See, now it's kind of floating because the wind's pushing it, and it's getting a little confused trying to hold its position and adjusting to it. That seems to be pretty common from the other reviews I've seen of this drone. It seems like it tends to have that problem with the wind, especially. I say most of the time it holds decent, but just don't expect a super rock solid position hold. Really, you should never expect that on optical flow anyway. But as I mentioned earlier, the big selling point for this drone is its long flight time. We got about 14 minutes and 45 seconds, and I don't know how long was the LVC for certain. I think it was around 30 seconds, but because those lights tend to blink like that, it made it a little bit more confusing to detect what was actually the LVC and what was, it trying to tell me it doesn't have a lock, I guess, on position. And of course, if you're recording, it's flashing also. Let's see if we can do a few 360 flips here. I'm going to take it up a little higher to be safe. And let's flip to the right. It does 360 flips quite nicely. Let's go ahead and do it forward. Do one to the left. Do one to the rear, backwards. Just make sure you hold the flip button in as you do that. If you just tap it, see, then it does nothing. Flips really, really nice. The Wi-Fi FPV feed, of course, is a bit choppy and freezes a little bit at times. That is just almost every Wi-Fi FPV drone has that issue. Some are just better or worse than others, I guess you could say. Some of them don't have it as bad as others. This one's pretty common. It's not terrible, but it's not the best Wi-Fi FPV feed I've seen either. Let's go ahead and try it now. We're recording, tilting the camera down. Let's kind of fly it back over my pool here and just get an idea how this works. Let's kind of fly it up overhead too. See if I can get underneath it here. Well, I don't know if I'm showing up or not. I'm trying to wave to it. There I am. All right, let's go ahead and tilt the camera back out some. That's what I believe that's still tilted down a little bit. So overall, I mean, I think, SYMA's had some bad luck. I don't know if I call it bad luck, poor designing, I would say, in the last 2 years, with just some weird, bizarre, motor kill feature, which is more like a bug, and all the proprietary add-ons, that is annoying for the hobbyists out there that want to just use, cheap old battery pack and don't have to buy a proprietary one. Of course, this drone still has that, but it, this flies really well, and really, the optical flow doesn't work the greatest, and that's really its biggest knock. But the fact that the battery, it flies so long on this battery, and it's a 2S LiPo, I think this has enough strong points that I would definitely recommend this. As long as you're not expecting a rock steady position hold. And the video, as you're seeing here in this review, it's not perfect. There's probably some jello wobble, but it's not like terrible jello wobble. But it's pretty decent. It's decent quality. It's about what you expect. This is a lot like the SYMA X25W that I reviewed. It's been quite a while ago now. I think it's been well over a year ago. Heck, it might have been 2 years ago. I'm losing track of time now. Of course, that drone did not have the optical flow. That's what they've added to this, but it's pretty similar. I believe that's the same camera, with the exception of this having the ability to change the pitch of the camera, aim it up and down by 90 degrees. And don't think the X5UW didn't have that. But it holds altitude nicely. I'm gonna go ahead and stop recording now. Now the lights went solid. Now let's see if the lights blink at all on me. So I've stopped recording. I'm definitely not at the low voltage yet. And see, I don't know if this is showing up in the video, but there's the rear is solid green, front is solid red, I should say. The front is. But there's been times on me where it has, it's intermittently blinked, and I don't know if, like I mentioned earlier, if it's maybe trying to tell me it doesn't have a good optical flow position. It's solid on me right now. We'll see here in the next few minutes before we end the review here if it does it any. Of course, it will blink when it hits the low voltage, which I think it's it's probably around 30 seconds or so. I didn't get an exact time when I was flying it. But like I said, the flight time is going to be somewhere around 14.5 to 15 minutes, depending on how aggressively you fly it and stuff like that. And it doesn't seem to matter whether you have the camera transmitting or not. I mean, it does not disable the camera, so the flight time seems to be the same no matter if you're using the Wi-Fi FPV app or not. Alright, we got the camera aimed all the way out here. Let's go ahead and just start recording a little more video just to make sure that we got it. Of course, now the lights are blinking. Let's bring it over here and do an automatic landing here so you can see that. I'm going to press the automatic landing button. Make sure I correct it a little so it doesn't land in the pool. And it lands very, very nice. Very, very nice landing. Very, very nice. Let's go ahead and we'll take it up now. You can also unlock the props like this and just manually take it up, which we'll do that now. So my overall impressions, this is actually, like I mentioned a while ago, it's really a nice little drone from SYMA. I was kind of hesitant about this to even take on this drone because SYMA's had so many just misses. They've had very few hits. I mean, not many really since the X5UW, but this one I think they've really corrected a lot of the problems. Another thing that some of the like the X8s and some of the later ones had a problem with the throttle down would cause it to kill the motors and fall to the sky. And I'll do it here. I'm going to land it. See, look, it's going to come down and land. It does not fall to the sky. So they seem to have corrected that bug, at least on this one here. So I kind of level it out here. Go ahead and do an automatic takeoff. So it doesn't seem to have any weird glitches or bugs, and that's really, really good, of course. So overall, I mean, this thing flies nice and smooth. I don't really have any complaints. It just doesn't hold position real great, and of course, the video is not going to be super good. You can't expect that. Wi-Fi FPV feed is not the greatest. So I don't know how much video we got here. I should say how much flight time we have here. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording again so I've got all this saved and the lights have gone solid. I said I don't know why the lights are flashing on me the other day. I was not recording and it just seemed like, I think I watched another review of this and it was doing it to that person too. I think it may just be saying it's having trouble with optical flow is my guess. But that's speculative. I've not seen any information on that. And it's not doing it today. So if you do get some intermittent blinking, that may be what it means. But again, that's just a guess. But this drone being such a long flyer and the table review, I don't need to make a half-an-hour video here. So I'm going to go ahead and land this and we'll wrap this review up because I think it gave you guys an idea of all the features it can do here. We got everything we need in for this review. So let's go ahead and land it. Like I said, excellent landing. So when you combine the fact that it flies really nice, it has a super long flight time, especially for a SYMA. I don't know of a SYMA that flies this long. I don't know if there's one that even flies this close to this long. And the tilting camera, I really like the fact that the camera tilts. You can fly it up overhead like we did earlier, just the whole overall way that this drone flies. This is a winner in my book, and that's not easy to say with these SYMAs lately. Some of them have not been the greatest. So just don't expect super accurate position hold with the, you know, the optical flow. That's a little tricky, the way that's, you know, that software works at detecting the differences in the ground and whatever. But it doesn't seem to work as well as some, but it works okay. So that should wrap up this review, guys. I got a few more things coming, so stay tuned, and hope everybody has a really good day.
The power of the dark side.